Welcome to Eminence Unfiltered podcast number 30. Today we have Mr. S.M. Mudda with us. And today's podcast is not only about leadership, but it's about loyalty and integrity as well. And let me tell you why. Mr. S.M. Mudda has more than 4 decades of experience, out of which more than three decades of experience is with micro labs. And currently, he is managing director of Missom Labs, EU GMP certified pharma testing laboratories in Malta. And talking about this, let's welcome Mr. Mudda in our studio today. How are you doing today, Mr. Mudda?
Good morning, Vinita. Thank you very much. I'm doing fine, and thanks for inviting me for this podcast.
Thank you for making time. It is very important for us that we bring forth the leaders that people are always looking up to and tell people that how did they reach there. Thank you for making time, Mr. Mudda. And my first question to you is, which I ask everyone as the first question, and it's a very important question for us. Uh, we know you as a leader, as a mentor, as a pharma professional, but who are you really behind the whole facade of a great leader? Who is Mr. Someshwar Mudda behind the whole facade?
No, that is a beautiful question and possibly the hardest to answer, but I'll try. Uh, it, this question takes me back to my early days in Mumbai to describe who I am. I realized soon in my life that I'm attracted to many facets of life and not my profession alone. In fact, one statement stuck in my mind that I have no specific interest in any profession because profession is not my life, life is my profession. I need to do something worthwhile living, and therefore, whatever I do, I should focus there. And that allowed me to uh, focus on many good things in the life, excellence in every field. And Mumbai offered like no other city. I realized that Mumbai is not a city of work, it is a city of excellence. You could find people from all walks of life who are stalwarts in their own field, be it is theatre, it is music, it is politics, journalism, science, medicine. We had people, those who are who, and we wanted to make them as our ideals, to follow. So that kind of opportunity, I thought Mumbai is offering to me, and it fits into my personal nature of being curious to learn. So that made me sort of focusing on learning from all walks of life, and I also realized soon that keeping these people in mind, I would always think big. I still remember we used to get Reader's Digest those days, and a center color page was there with quotes. So they were lengthy quotes, but one particular quote attracted me. There were just two words: "Think big," a red background and white. So that became, my kind of motto, and I kept on, using that behind my desk all the time. So, if you ask me in a simple way who I am a curious person learning today from everybody for every walk of life, wherever anything meets my expectation of excellence in whatever field. I follow that and try to imbibe whatever small little things from those people.
Right, right. Thank you very much. And last time when we spoke about your formation years as well, you told me about your love for literature, and I understand your father being a reporter. You had early access to literature since childhood. You are fond of music, and you have love for theater as well. So I want to understand that how did that shape your worldview?
Yes, I mean, uh, my home was my university. I mean, coming from a very small town, but born to an illustrious father who was a journalist and who had connect across the society.
Right.
He would meet dignitaries because of his position, and he would write. So I used to get all journals, magazine, newspapers from all over the place, including from Russia in those days. So that generated interest to learn about things going beyond what you are studying. Studies, I was good. I was all the time a meritorious student, but going beyond that, this is what we learned from my father. And he had a very quiet power to influence people, speaking less, understanding more, imbibing, and conducting with character and dignity. These things, we learned early in the age, and I think that possibly uh, gave the confidence. In fact, it will look little silly at this stage if I say I had a pride that I'm not born to do ordinary things because I'm born to an illustrious father and I have to do something better, better than others in the life. And that pride kept me pushing to do things different than others, and I would always spot an opportunity to do. Commitment was always there, curiosity was there. So this upbringing with my father was something that shaped my future leadership journey.
Right, right. But he must be very strict as well.
He
Because,
wasn't, on the
yes.
contrary, my mother was strict. He was very kind and he was multifaceted person. He has interest in various things. That is something I learned. I said earlier, like I have no specific interest in the profession. I learned from him. He did everything in the life. Like he used to sing, he used to play harmonium. He was a newspaper reporter. He was involved with religious functions. He was involved in college and universities. He was a founding director of a college, the library. So we learned many things, and then he was running his business.
Right.
So business for us was secondary. What he
Right.
was doing and living a full
That
life
was primary.
was primary for me. And I think
Right.
that influence sort of shaped my leadership style. And I continued to unknowingly follow that when I came in. I came in with that pride to do what I said.
Right. And I understand that because of him and because of the way your culture was in the family, you know how to play harmonium, tabla, and this kind of music and art was always encouraged in your
True,
family
true.
culture, right? So I have an opinion that whenever a person is very close to art, those leaders are always more compassionate and they set the bar very high for leadership. So I want to know your thought process, how it actually shaped your leadership journey.
Actually, to say that I play harmonium tabla will not be right in the sense I do play. I mean, I played in my younger age, but then it was more because of my passion to listen
Right.
to the maestros.
Right.
In fact, when I came to Mumbai, my first attraction was to attend all music concerts in Bombay,
Wow.
all theaters, So I was revolving around Shivaji Mandir and Shanmughan and all of that, and listening to the legends like Bhimsen Joshi. So it is more about listening than practicing. Of course, I did that, and as well, it acted as a stress buster to me. It would connect to your inner self, when you are in difficulty, and even 10 minutes break for a music would again energize you.
Right.
Second thing, what I learned from these people was something very, very interesting. Their commitment, the way they would do riyas for hours together, even after accomplishing the status of, the maestro status. And second thing is humility. I would see
Yeah.
in the concert, they would touch each other's feet, forgetting their age or their position in the society or in their own field. So that is something really taught me, like you have to respect people the way they did. Theatre taught me all about life itself.
Right.
In fact, this understanding music, understanding theatre, gave me a sense of appreciation of a performance. Anybody who excels in whatever it does is my person, and that is how I kept on spotting people at my place of work.
Very
Somebody,
nice.
who has got a great style in working, or performing unit operation in manufacturing, or somebody who is articulate enough to express himself very well, or somebody does something, better than ordinary. I
Right.
wouldn't miss that, and that was my opportunity of spotting young talent without their knowledge. So
Right.
this ability I picked up from, seeing these legends and how they perform, how they express themselves, and how they conduct life itself, life, its behaviors, values, the contradictions, so a number of things,
Right.
put together. So that gave me that perspective of not missing a good performance and trying to find excellence in performance of the people.
This is very beautifully said because somewhere down the line, as a leader as well, when you are too occupied with things, being appreciative in mind and being appreciative to people on their face are two very different things. But
Uh,
the closeness you had with the arts actually made you see that okay, how important it is to be appreciative to people.
Absolutely,
That's very
absolutely.
beautifully
And,
said.
and respectful,
Right.
regardless of age and position. That was very, very important lesson to me.
This is true, very true. And talking about your education, I know that you are a gold medalist and you always had a motto in your mind that, okay, I want to work with people rather than working for people. And evidently, we can see that in your career history as well, your loyalty, integrity, in your experience with Microlabs and all the companies that you worked with. So we want to understand, how did your first job was when you had this kind of motto on in your life already?
I know. I came in the first job with that idea of me being a gold medalist, and I thought I knew everything about it. And soon enough, I discovered that I knew nothing about what actually the world is and how it works. So I started as an apprentice in USV. It was called as US Vitamin and Pharmaceutical Corporation. It was a US-based company
Okay.
in India. So I started as an apprentice and soon learned that in manufacturing sector, you can't do anything alone yourself. It is a teamwork, and if you have to make a batch, you have to involve 10 people. And the people who worked with their own hands knew the best, more than what was written in a procedure or in a manual.
Right.
And therefore, my first job was to get integrated with them, respect what they know, and learn from them. I think the very first job taught this thing to me, that humility, respecting people's knowledge, and using it for your growth. I think that is something I learned from my first job, and ever since I made that as my principle of working. I mean, to work with the people at the roots on the ground, if you have to learn something from them.
Right. But I would also say that means, somehow we have a way of attracting the incidents and peoples and the company in our life that we want, isn't it? Because you had that kind of background, you wanted that kind of culture, and you lined up those kind of instances and companies and scenarios in your life that automatically the right set of people came into your life.
True, that's true. I mean, engaging with people and not being able to work without them. In fact, I joined USV at the age of 21,
Mhm.
and these 3 years, when I learned how to learn from the people, keeping your gold medal aside for a while, I became head of injection department at age of 24.
Right.
There was something very unique in a multinational company, somebody giving that kind of position to you. And as we know, injectable is supposed to be the more difficult dosage forms,
Yes,
amongst
correct,
others.
correct.
So I could do that, and later I could set up a brand new facility, a standalone facility for contract manufacturing in Navi Mumbai, starting from grounds up,
And I guess you were
completely.
28 then.
I was
That,
28 then,
right?
yes. I was
Yes.
28 then, yes, yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So this might have put you on a certain responsibility and determination that you learned at a very early age. Means, there is a famous saying, "Honhar birwan ke ho chikne paat." So means it's not by accident, evidently, that you were given such kind of responsibility at the age of 24. Then by the age of 28, you were a factory manager. So what did you learn about responsibility and determination at the early age?
Yes, as I said, uh, it is all about spotting talent, building your own team.
Right.
Uh, at the age of 28, I took a decision to move from a multinational job and go to a small Indian company.
Right.
It was set up by Nathani Steel chairman,
Okay.
and they had a big vision to do something good in the field of quality. That attracted me, and I started. Everyone advised me, you must take experienced people. But my experience of working in those 6 years was something different. Like people who have been working for years, they were very rigid to change. They would not adapt to anything new, and that period was a period of strong trade unions.
Right.
So you couldn't really do much changes as you wished,
Mhm.
going beyond the agreements. So it was very
Yes.
difficult. So that was in my mind, that I will work only with newcomers, youngsters,
Uh-huh.
except one experienced person who was my QC manager, as required by law on the license. Rest all were freshers. I took complete fresh team, built them up, worked with them, made sure that they learn the concept, the how, the why behind how. Why are they into this field? What is aseptic manufacturing? I taught them everything from design of clean rooms to how air handling systems work, and we really worked together with many multinational companies. We were audited by the then multinational Fulford, Russell, Man Baker, and we passed the audits.
Right.
So this working with people, developing them, imbibing our culture, our style of working, our culture in them, and making them successful. So within 2 to 3 years, I found that these people were no less than any other experienced professionals. I think that is something I learned by setting up this new brand new unit and manufacturing injectables for almost 18 companies.
Right,
Yeah.
right. See, I have always known about you, but when you spoke at our conference for the first time at GMP in 2023, and I heard you speak at the conference itself, that did actually put one thing in my mind, that you are the kind of person who's still a go-getter. Who's not only thinking about that others do this for me, you still would get things done for yourself. And one of the things that I know about you is that in the starting age, means, when you started your career, your English was not at a great pursuit. I can't even tell. That means, that time there was some
I know.
sort of work that you had to do on yourself. But you worked hard so well, and now you speak flawlessly. What is it that you want to tell our fellow industry people? I know so many people who are brilliant minds, but it's very hard for them to communicate sometimes.
I know.
So, what is the advice that you want to give them?
I know. If you allow, I'll tell you the episode that turned my life. And
Yes, please.
like I was a gold medalist, I had that chip on my shoulder situation, and I walked in an interview for an interview, recommended by a leading medical doctor of South Bombay.
Right.
My brother knew him, and he sent me for interview. And little later, after 2 weeks, I went to his clinic to find out what happened. He spoke to the person who interviewed me. I don't know what transpired between them, but I could see him listening carefully, which I'm sure was not kind about me. And at the end of that, he said, "I'm sorry for sending such a candidate to you." Before he kept the phone down, I was out of his clinic, and I sat 4 hours at a bus stop on Pedder Road thinking about what went wrong. And then I realized that my inability to speak, convey, was the main hurdle. And if I don't know how to convey, whatever my personal abilities are, they'll remain with me. I think that was the revelation for me to focus on this. Then very simple thing, listening to Doordarshan news in Hindi, followed by English, reading editorials, centripage articles, TV discussions which were not like today. They were really good, listenable, and you could learn from stalwarts. That something made me change my thing. And
Wow.
coming to youngsters, now I realize that it is not so much about the facility of language that is important. It is important though, but it is clarity of thoughts. If you know your subject well, you'll be able to communicate anyway well. So
Correct.
one doesn't have to feel bad or guilty about not knowing the language. Well, it is necessary to convey what you want to convey.
Very well
But
said.
then the fundamental thing is you must know your subject well. You
Yes.
must understand well. That anyhow you will be able to communicate well. So I think that is a message to youngsters.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. But and I didn't know about this story, and this is
I
very
know.
motivating as well.
True.
And I really, if people work on it in this way and try it while they are working on their communication for communicating with people from outside India, within India, they can still converse what they know in their regional language
I
as
know. I
well.
mean, very interesting small episode I would tell of Mr. Iyer here, about whom we're going to speak later. Like he was a, a stickler for language,
Okay.
and he always expected people to communicate well with brevity and clarity.
Right.
And people would find difficult, and sometimes they would ridicule, "We are scientists, and why should you know language well?" And one day he really got upset about that, and he called someone. He knew Tamil, and the gentleman was Tamil because I used to work in Microlabs Hosur plant.
Then you.
So he asked him a few questions in Tamil and asked him to repeat in Tamil. He couldn't do that. Then he said, "Listen, now your ability is not about the fluency in language, your
Abilities, knowledge.
not clarity. You don't have clarity." I think that's what it is. So it's
Right.
the combination of the two. Yes.
Very true, very true. I agree. You came on day 2 for manufacturing and automation convention for the awards evening in the daytime, but on day 1 we had one of the group leaders, and I had to set expectations that okay, how he's going to lead the group and how are we planning to do the case studies and the discussions. So while talking to him, I was getting very one-liner answer. Then I realized, that maybe it is to do with the hurdle in the communication. I started speaking with him Hindi, and you should have heard him speak. Then I realized that probably this kid knows a lot,
A lot.
a lot, but he's just even hesitant. I have no
Hesitant.
idea why people are hesitant. English is not our first language,
True.
and not everyone is getting the opportunity to learn it as firsthand. You can work on that later,
True.
but our knowledge should not stop just because the English is a weaker side of.
True,
the
true.
language, right? Yes.
That's what we said. As long as clarity of thought is there, you can communicate.
It's you can
Yes,
communicate.
yes.
Very true. And like you spoke about Mr. R.S. Iyer, I know that means he had a huge impact in your life. But one thing that I've observed in your career is that while you were working with him, your transition from operations to quality. So did he play a role in your transition?
Very important role. Like it turned out to be my mentor, my family, and my guru.
Okay.
Uh, we got associated with him to get advice on quality control,
Okay.
because he was the quality head of GSK
At
for
that
his
time.
life, and he was heading the quality globally. Then he was the founder of Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission.
Right.
Uh, it was committee earlier, with his and Dr. Pabra's efforts, it became commission. So we knew he's a legend and a big person. So somehow I managed to get him to advise us. It's a big story that why he didn't want to come to us, but I'm not going there. But somehow I pursued him to come and advise us, and ever since he found that uh, my commitment to the profession and transparency in working. He appreciated that and started teaching me how do we convert your operational skills, execution skills into system of quality. Because he would see you are doing a lot more than what is required because you don't work with the system. And in those days, it wasn't known. I'm talking about pre-ISO days. But then he taught us in those days to create a quality assurance manual. So the concepts of the modern quality management system, he taught us those days. Even when we had to work with typewriter, we didn't have computers then in those age. And from there I started learning that it is all about developing your leadership and the system. So your efforts will be 1/10, but the outcome will be same.
Right.
That's what I learned from him, and slowly I really got transformed unknowingly to do everything on the platform of quality management system. If you put something through a system, it has a sustainability and longevity. That's what he taught. Then he gave me opportunity to speak at public forums. I was a very shy person. Even now I'm personally very shy. I don't go and seek out people and talk voluntarily. But he made me speak at various forums. My first ever presentation, he gave data to meaning, because he said the way you organize your data, it is meaningful, and therefore I want you to talk on this topic with this heading. That's my first ever speech. Then we wrote a book together because I used to do a lot of work on labeling of drugs. So he said your work is so phenomenal, the industry should know. So he co-authored a book along with me
Wow.
to make me known to the people. Otherwise I
Must be an
wasn't
honor.
known. So there are many things he did, and he had a great influence and had a lot of personal interest, I think, in my career progression. I was blessed to have him by the side of me. So anything I would need, I will call him. If I don't call, he will call in 15 days, asking me what happened. Are you okay? Do not call me in 15 days. So that how the bonding was there. He really transformed my thinking, demonstrated his way. He
Right.
used to always say that there are two things very important to be in the quality. One is the most important characteristic of a person is his personal integrity, without which you cannot have anything to do in pharmaceuticals. Number two, the quality of work determines quality of the product. Now
Right.
this was a contradiction to me, a person who is the master in quality control, testing. He says testing is not the thing to determine quality. I wouldn't understand contradiction, but I was afraid to ask him. I was too young. But later I realized and I demonstrated that there is only a means of determining
Right.
quality. That is not the, you know, way to create quality or to build into product. That he taught. So the work that you do, whatever work you do, you should have quality in it. That is something. The way we sit, the way we speak, the way we organize files, to anything you do in the life. So it had a great and lasting influence on me, and I'm really grateful to him. If anything, people see today I speak good or do something good in quality, is entirely to his credit. Otherwise, I was a proper operational person, counting number of dispatches happened at the end of the day, number of shippers that went out, and invoices and petty cash, because I was operating plants.
Right.
But this realization that everything can be done through system and can be delegated to people, and I can scale myself up. If I grew in the life, scaling up by creating system and people, all thanks to Mr. Iyer.
Right. Right. Means, I'm glad that we are talking about it. And obviously, you have spoken to me about Mr. R.S. Iyer before as well, and I know that means what a legendary person he was. But I think that we needed this on a digital recording as well,
True,
somewhere,
true.
right? For future need to know, that means, they'll know about Mr. Mudda, but it's the future might forget these legends, and I
But
think that
yeah,
is
but
his.
let me add, like me, there are many people. Many
Right.
people were groomed by them, and I would like to get their names. It was Vinay Nayak or Milind Joshi or Dr. Anthony Gomes and many others. We had at least 20, 30 of us.
Groomed
We
by him. Yes.
looked up to him, and through IDMS technical
All
committee,
brilliant leaders,
absolutely. And
actually.
but all thanks to him, he kind of put that thought in our mind
Right.
that you have to work outside of your workspace, do something for the community, and contribute in a meaningful manner.
Right.
I think that was his message, and all of us we picked. I was one amongst them, maybe luckier than others because I really worked very closely with him because he lived in Bangalore.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, that worked for the
Worked
advantage
for
for
me.
sure.
Yes, 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 yes.
Right. So about means, when I talk about you, I know that means loyalty, integrity, in fact, compassion, humility of all the things are hallmarks of your career. I have always met people who have spoken to me about you in that way. So in this fast changing world, means what is your opinion about these values at this point of time? Did it impact your values, or do you see the same kind of values in the industry right now?
Unfortunately, maybe not. Or I really don't want to judge, but I think the modern world expects people to keep pace with the changes happening. So maybe working at one place might be considered as stagnancy in career, but I don't believe that way.
Right.
And I recall the statement of Stephen Covey that he spoke about the distinction between personality ethic and character ethic. Personality ethics focuses on projecting yourselves and trying to get this thing done fast, but character talks a long term focus.
Right.
And the organization that he studied, the
Right.
long lasting ones were the only ones who focused on character.
Right.
So remaining true to your value system, which includes integrity in the first place and loyalty. We talk about two terms, honesty and integrity. Honesty, simply defined for me, is the words spoken after the action happens.
Yeah.
And integrity is the action that you do after you speak. So what you speak, if you honor, your integrity is proved. So if you don't have these values, whatever else we do will not grow in the life. That's my firm belief. And if you see the real examples of people who are successful, even the entrepreneurs, owners, they've really worked hard with these values.
Right.
And loyalty is something, I don't know whether it was choice or not, but then in a company where I worked, and I must make a mention of another person who very strongly influenced my life and shaped me as the leader who I am today. Himself wasn't highly educated, but I'm talking about the late founding managing director of Microlabs, Mr. G.C. Surana.
Right.
So we started young. We were 30 people, one unit, 5 crore turnover, to 4,500 crore turnover. I lived, I traveled along with them, I can say. I can't take credit for whatever happened there, but I was a party to all that is happening, a witness to all that is happening, worked with him and the next generation, and his, you know, blind trust in me. Once we initially 2 3 years we found out what I stand for was something that made me uh, remain loyal to him. Like I don't have to go beyond him because he gave ample opportunity, and the term I use is freedom to operate. This is much beyond the word authority or autonomy.
Right.
You will realize only when you work in that space.
Right.
Like virtually companies yours, you can do whatever you want to do, and you have implicit trust from the owner. So that made me stay there. I didn't have to go beyond micro for 34 years because from 1 to 18 plants, multiple businesses, acquisition of the plant, then going all over the world, bringing in new automation technologies and all of that. My hands were full with whatever I did, and with complete authority freedom and with Mr. Iyer's support.
Right.
I think to remain loyal was a given thing. That
Right.
is how we continued. And another thing, if you want to really challenge your abilities, uh, whatever vision you have, whatever actions you take, you need to really stay there to follow it through to see that they reach their logical conclusion. Giving ideas is fine, but execution is the key. If you're able to do that and do it sustainably, only then there is a purpose of what you have said,
Right.
and it will prove to yourself who you are. I think that is something I was challenging myself. I did not leave the place because I started something. I want to see how it grows.
Right.
So I think all thanks to him. So again, I did with what everybody else did, but because of these two gentlemen, it completely transformed my life, and that is how I could devote my, a major part of my career with this organization.
Right. I know this is true. I was once sitting with a very senior person, business coach. And so now it's a profession. That means there are people who are coaching other businesses. But at that point of time, he's a very senior person. He's almost 86 years old, and he has coached companies like Colgate and all big giant companies. When I was sitting with him, he said that, Kuneet, when I was advising the companies, the first thing that I used to do was that how many pages are there to the resume, right? And if there are several, more than one pages to the resume, is it because of their accomplishment in one, two, or three companies, or is it the 10 companies that is adding up to the 3 pages of the
3 pages.
resume? The moment I saw that means there are 3 pages because of the number of companies you worked with, I never even sat next to that person to interview them. I didn't want to know anything more.
So insightful, right?
This is the kind of integrity that, you know, people in the past time used to work with. I
True.
agree with you on that for
Sure.
sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. And now, when we move to our next, I want to talk more about your hobbies. I know that you love reading literature. I want to know that means, do you still get time to read, and how do you make time? If you
Honestly, no. But then I found a way.
okay,
So this reading habit again came from my family because of my father.
right,
He was journalist, so I told all about him. And then he was a founder, a director of a college, a
right,
well-known, reputed college, where in our region we had the best library. So all my school holidays, college holidays, I would spend in the library and read. That was only means of, seeing the outside world. So
right,
that hobby continued while I was studying. It continued for first few years when I came to Mumbai. Read many books like Stephen Covey was there, uh, Peter Drucker was there, but the one very important, Lee Iacocca.
okay,
He taught me something very different. Uh, I got into operations and execution and turned out to be a person who is demanding, aggressive, and no nonsense. We want something to be done to be done. I would
right,
always feel guilty whether this style is right to do because sometimes you are being very aggressive with the people. But then after reading Lee Iacocca's autobiography, which I read non-stop, I mean 14, 16 hours before I kept the book aside, taught me one thing. He taught a term, benevolent dictatorship. So you can be strict, but you can be kind to people, both together. So that reading taught me. But thereafter, as I grew, the time was not available, but I found a way. These days, I listen to the YouTube videos of all the stalwarts because whatever I learned by instinct and practice, by these learnings in the early age, I wanted to validate,
right,
or I wanted to really explore the outside world, what happens there. And I found that it is quite akin to what I have done instinctively. But I found tools, vocabulary to communicate better than I would have done otherwise. So this last 7, 8 years, I listen to 1.5 or to 2 hours YouTube videos while I'm walking in the morning. That's my time.
okay,
And I keep repeating, a particular thing if I like, whether it is Daniel Kahneman or Robert Kagan or Russell Ekov,
right.
until I start making notes, imbibe that, put into practice. So that has really helped me. And sometimes I wonder, uh, I'm learning better than what I would do otherwise by reading through this way of learning because I don't spend my working time, but I still have time to learn.
Right,
Yes.
very beautifully said. Very beautifully said. And what we will do is that in the podcast link, we will just mention the names of the books just in case if people
Sure, please.
want to refer to, because I'm personally would like to read that as well. It sounds very interesting.
True.
And what about means, when we talk about reading, I do have an opinion that the current generation, somewhere down the line, the nag of reading has reduced drastically. The numbers are declining. So, what is your thought about that?
I know because there is wealth of information available at a click of the button now.
Right,
So it is all about lot of data and information that is available to you, and uh, you believe that you have learned something. But if you ask me, the real learning comes when you engage yourself with the book because
absolutely.
you are creating your own space and you're connecting with what you are reading.
Right.
The reflection, imbibing, understanding comes from there.
Is your own.
Yeah, here again, I would like to bring Russell Eckhoff, which is who says the contents of human minds. He talks about data, information, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. In my opinion, the modern world today, including the education institutions, we are revolving around data and information. Very little knowledge and understanding. And if you ask me, in the in any field, in any, I mean, universities, education, or industry, knowledge and understanding is the input for good decision making.
Absolutely.
So people like us, we spend a lot of time converting information that comes to us into knowledge. You know first, and then you understand, then decide.
Right.
Knowledge, as someone has said, is absence of doubt and truth of belief. So if it doesn't clarify your mind and you don't understand, how do you do? So I don't think there is a focus on this of the people. And the last stage is wisdom. We don't go there. Still, it is a distant dream from the young generation. So uh, whatever data, information, knowledge we have today available at the fingertips, your ability to focus time to read and understand
It's always going to
is
be
the key
important.
for your self-development. Otherwise, you will have a lot of information, nothing will stick to you.
Right. It's just like movies, I think. That means when you watch a movie that has been adapted from a book to a movie, you are watching somebody else's perspective on the book. By reading, you get your own perspective.
Absolutely,
You have your
absolutely.
own
True,
imagination.
true, true.
Maybe you drove something else out of the book, and somebody else's imagination is something.
Something else. You're right.
And I agree with you. That
True,
is
true,
very,
true.
very important.
Important. Yes.
Also, means since you're from the background of journalism, your father was a reporter. So I want to know, what is your opinion about the current status of media? Because with so much on available on a digital click and so much of misinformation information available on social media,
I know.
so do you think that the real journalism is still alive somewhere?
I mean, I'm a small person to comment on that, but then as a common man, I can say it is very, very different. And as I said some time ago, I used to listen to panel discussions intently, some big names, Prem Jha and other people. So that was my opportunity, like a intellectual feast to learn how people converse, communicate, put across their point, convey something, very, very polished manner, polite manner, and you are learning something out of that, including the personal styles and the content.
Right.
So today that is missing. It is all about commenting on something that has happened rather than reporting.
Right.
So there is no
Right.
report. It is somebody's personal perspective, and he is putting, very aggressively, and people take positions. That is something is influencing. So opinions matter more than the facts
Right.
in this kind of journalism.
Right.
So
Right.
I'll go back to my father, like whoever we are today, because he was a journalist. He had a great connect with the leaders, with the government, and the people, society. He respected both ways well. Like he acted as a medium between small town. When we didn't have any means of communication, people like him mattered. So I still
Right.
carry that image and impression. Maybe it is old-fashioned in today's world, but then unless there is a content in what we are talking, and there is a purpose in communicating, this over communication is not a true journalism. There are very good people even today. They do a job. I don't want to name. I think you're sure some of the journalists, they really follow all these
Believe in that
principles. They
idea.
live in that,
Right.
and they really focus, and they're very well appreciated.
Right, right. No, yes, I remember that movie Jane Bhi Do Yaro. It's a comedy movie from the 80s time, Hindi
True,
movie,
true.
and it's not purely based on the journalism, but in a way of life, that how media can manipulate news, but at the same time project the actual information without being
Absolutely, absolutely,
fearful,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So that is so true. Okay. So, one question that we have got from our audience, and it's very important for me also to know what is your thought process on that, is that what is your opinion about a boss and a leader?
Okay. Boss is somebody who makes people work, and leader is somebody who works with people and grows them.
I,
So
yes,
unless you are a leader, you are not going to inspire people.
right,
So being boss is transactional, being leader is aspirational. So leader has different abilities. If I can recall correctly the statement of Simon Sinek, he told leadership is not about being in charge of people, but being uh, taking care of the people in your charge.
right.
So
Very
if you focus
beautifully
on
said.
your people who are in your charge, develop them, that's what leadership is. Not taking charge and controlling them. I think there is a fundamental difference between the boss and leader. In fact, I'm known to be a very demanding kind of a person, but I've never crossed the line of uh, being leader who is developing people, demanding, like a coach, asking them to rehearse well and work hard,
Let's see
work
how we
with
can do this.
discipline. Yes, exactly. So sometimes it can cross the lines of being a controlling person, but that's not the case. I think if your
Right.
focus is right,
Right.
people do realize they thank you for guiding them well in time. So it is all about developing people and working with them
Right.
rather than getting your growth through them.
Right, right. And there is, I think, a very fine line that sometimes it is okay that we accidentally are crossing in between leader and a boss, but means you cannot be in that zone of being a boss all the time. You cannot be telling people to do that, means, you
You
think,
can never, like someone said that you can't hold a gun on the head of the person to work. As long as you're holding the gun, he works. Thereafter, he doesn't. So
yes,
it applies here. Like you have to develop people, and if you can allow me 2 minutes to tell a small
yes,
story
please,
about
yes.
how people get developed through this model.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a style of working with people. I love to talk to people. So whenever I used to go to plants, we would meet in the conference room, and I would call all the persons working on the floor connected to the subject in the conference room, and it was felt as a breach of norm because we are calling juniors to conference room. But I
Okay.
said they are the ones. Let them listen what's happening. Let them listen what's happening. We don't talk to them. There was no agenda to be there, but they will know the process. So we used to meet during inspections. So before, during, and through the inspection, I was always with my people, looking into whatever areas of improvement, building
That's
confidence,
beautiful.
all of that I used to do.
Right.
One girl used to be there whom I personally never knew, and here is the real story.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of years later, I received a mail from her
Mm-hmm.
telling that I used to work there, and I've learned a lot of things imbibing from this conversation, discussions about courage, about faith, about value of life. Today I'm writing to you because she contracted blood cancer, and she was going for the last stage, the bone marrow replacement
Oh,
in
okay.
Singapore. And she says, as I'm going for a surgery, I remember three people, my father, husband, and you. You for the reason that uh, this kind of surgeries success rate is 40%, and I'm very confident that I'm amongst those 40% while I'm going in. And this, the courage to fight back, courage to stand for your values, principles, and having faith in yourself is something I imbibe through your meetings.
Wow.
And this was a lesson to me. I never ever had interacted with her. And the good news is that she survived that and she's doing well. She's in our
Wow.
industry itself.
That is
Now, this is
brilliant.
what is all about leadership. Which boss can achieve this? And this is even without your knowledge. Something happened, and it's so touching story.
Right, right. Means I think that till the time, this is the biggest example because a leader believes what they're saying, right? A
True,
boss might be thinking, this is my job to say. And when you believe it, it will always be delivered to the people in a way that they will remember it forever,
true,
no
true,
matter where they
true,
go.
true.
This is so true. Thank you. Mr. Muda, I must say that this empathy and compassion that we are talking about in leadership, somewhere down the line, if I hear your family stories, it's imbibed in you by your family and the culture in your family itself. Means your father, who was so loving to not only the humankind but even to the animals as well. He was behind the
Go Rakshan.
Rakshan initiative as well,
True,
and
true, true.
your brother is actually the
No,
flag bearer.
no,
He's taking it forward,
taking
his
for
legacy, right?
right, right.
So with five more siblings, everything is imbibed by your family, by your father. How do you think that transformed your journey as a leader to know this difference between a boss and a leader?
I know. I mean, as I said, I've spoken enough. The whole learning came from my home,
Right.
and being part of a big family, uh, and how to manage family and relationship. That is something we learned. My father was very kind, very generous, and he educated us. Mother was very strict disciplinarian and very religious. So we had a strict rule of getting up before sunrise and not coming home before sunset because you need to do something. So after school, we had to go to our shop and help our father. So
Uh-huh.
that kind of discipline she brought in.
Mhm.
And bonding between the family members was her main strength. She kept all of us together. Uh, she passed away at the age of 90, but her last 20 years, every day she would talk to at least 10 people, siblings. We have 70 people's family,
Right.
all extended families.
Right.
So that bonding has been very, very great. That is our learning. As brothers, we're very, very close. All of us have done well only because of this one principle, which my father told, that loyalty part. that if you go somewhere, you have to be useful to someone and you have to be loyal to them.
Right.
All of us, we have worked more than 30, 40 years.
Right.
All four brothers. My younger brother is the technical head of Microlab today. This is 42nd year maybe.
Right.
Another younger brother is the managing director of a construction company. He owns it today. He started as an accountant in that company, and 40 years later, he's owning the company
Wow.
of 800 crore turnover. So, the learning was to remain together, learn from each other. Whenever we would meet, we had a slogan that small minds talk of people, average minds talk of events, and great minds talk of ideas. If you want to become great because you come from a small town with a purpose, then you only talk of ideas. So what happened good in the society, community, which function you attended, which book you read, we always focus on that. I think in that way, uh, belief in value system, strict discipline, uh, working beyond the demands of your job, being helpful to people, being kind to them, these are all, and then remaining strong together. I think these are all values they were imbibed in me, and I could in a natural way scale it up wherever I worked. So 18 plants, those many people, literally 10,000 people, working with 200 senior people. All that was possible because this connect we could create between the people. Spotlight person create connect. So yes, my family upbringing has a great impact on the way I turned out to be a leader with empathy, passion, integrity, and believing in my values.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, before we before we close the podcast, I have two very important questions for you. One is for the pharma professionals. What is the advice, career advice, that you would like to give to our aspiring young leaders who are in pharmaceutical industry and transitioning into their roles?
This I have said number of times in my presentations, in my articles. It is all about moving your focus from GMP compliance to adoption of systems approach. Because GMP compliance word itself is something trying to fit into somebody's expectations.
Right.
So if you feel somebody's expectation today, you're done with it. Tomorrow the expectation change and you are back to square one.
Right.
So there is no consistency, there is no scalability if you only focus on practice. And here I mean the inspection outcomes. We give a lot of importance to that. The leaders, if they really want to groom and develop the organization, they have to focus on systems.
Right.
Only and only then GMP will become sustainable and scalable. And Deming, whom I keep quoting often, has very famously said 94% problems in the business are system driven. 6% are people. So focusing on people doesn't help you.
Right.
The real contributing factors for anything that doesn't happen right, they're below the surface. And they are system processes, their leadership and the culture. So this focus is extremely important for Indian pharma leaders. I'm sure there are many, and through your initiative, we are trying to bring them out and present them to industry. I'm very glad what we did last, two events in Mumbai and Hyderabad. We could really get some surprising youngsters who really are very passionate and who are committed to this vision. They
Yes.
just need a platform, and somebody will tell them that even this can be done.
Right.
This is little unorthodox and out of the way in companies framework. It may not fit, but the leaders, senior leaders who have an ability to influence, if they really give opportunity to people and start challenging the status quo and want to move towards systems approach, that is the key for our success. Because
Absolutely.
only then through this we'll be able to develop the second level leaders.
Right.
And that is very, very essential. The leaders, to use Robert Kagan's word, who have an ability to think objectively. The systems can't be created by the users. They have to be created by the people who have come, long way from there and have a world view about your systems. They are the people. So unless you develop objectivity, you will not be able to create a system that will long last. Because it is not, event based or quick fix.
Correct.
It is really long lasting and sustainable. So
Right.
that is a message to the pharma leadership.
Thank you. And our podcast is not only viewed by the pharma professionals, but also the students from universities and colleges who are yet to start their career as well. Is there a parting piece of wisdom that you would like to share with the students as well?
I think three things. One is discipline, second is integrity, and third is curiosity. You can't live on your past laurels of getting a degree from whatever university. The real learning starts when you get into business.
Absolutely.
So, without discipline, the pharmaceutical industry is very, very demanding. You have to be on the dot in everything we do. Delivering right quality medicine, right time is our motto, right? So, maintaining discipline, what you do, including deliveries on time, is the key thing. So, we have to really groom yourself to work hard. You can't work through your laptops. You have to work with, physically going down to the place. Integrity is very, very important, very important. I'm not going to data integrity in that aspect, that personal integrity,
Personal thing.
that you learn, I mean, you rely on your work based on your value systems and learn from the concept, the why behind how.
Right.
I mean, if you come with a postgraduate degree from pharmacy and you just follow the practice of someone who did uh, in the previous period and you don't want to challenge it because it gives you comfort, then you're doing injustice to your profession. I think you should be able to challenge anything by asking why are you doing what we are doing. That is a clear message to them. And world is evolving very fast. Knowledge, technology, automation is developing. So keep pace with that growth, what is happening around you. So with these three principles, I think they'll be the better pharmacists and better leaders of tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Mudda. What a wonderful podcast and such a great piece of advice to our pharma professionals as well as to the students as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gunit, for really pushing me to do this. I think this took almost a year
Yes.
before I come here, but due to my travel and preoccupation, not any other reason.
Yes.
I'm very happy that I could come and share whatever little bit I know to you and the viewers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Today we learned about compassion, integrity, and loyalty. On the other hand, we also got to know about literature, arts, and music. We often view these things very separately, but today we also learned that how all of this is connected. A person who has compassion for one living being, it's not possible that they don't have for another living being. At the same time, that same compassion will be shown in your leadership skills, and your arts and love for the music as well will automatically show in how you are going to manage and lead people. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Muda, for this time today. What do you think about this podcast? And if you have any questions, please mention it in the comments below. Thank you. See you next Wednesday.